I've had a lot of requests to talk more about Beauty and Truth math. So here is that video, and if you've never heard of Beauty and Truth math, stick around. So I have to make a correction. In a previous video that I made about Beauty and Truth math, I can link it below, I made a mistake. I made an error. I had believed that Beauty and Truth math currently goes from grade 1 to grade 12. And the reason for that is because if you go to their website, you will see boxes of each math that you can click on where it will say high school, algebra, geometry, but they're just links in place for future curriculum once they are produced. So currently, Beauty and Truth Math is an entire math curriculum for grades 1 to grade 6. There is another curriculum that they've just put out this year that is for grade 7 and up. However, it's just sort of a pilot program that they're beginning and working on, but I will go through all of that in this video. So Beauty and Truth Math currently covers arithmetic, geometry, and algebra. And they have the entire program for those subjects from grades 1 to grade 6. And they are currently working on grade 7 and up with a plan to complete math all the way to grade 12. I am not sure what that timeline will look like, but that is their current plan. Many people find that they have to switch in and out of curriculum to be able to cover different topics well. But I find that Beauty and Truth math guides are written so detailed and so thoroughly that you can just stay within Beauty and Truth from grades 1 to grade 6. And I am certain by looking at what they have accomplished in these grades that their grades 7 and up to high school will be just as thoroughly written and explained in such a way that every student will excel in math. I really feel confident about that. Beauty and Truth is a Charlotte Mason math. It is based in the principles of Charlotte Mason. And a lot of people are afraid to try out this math because they just feel like it might have the reputation of being gentle or easy or simplified or basic, all of those things. And I want to let you know that we came from Singapore math and specifically primary mathematics. And primary mathematics is a very rigorous, even considered advanced math. We switched over from grade 4 primary mathematics into grade 4 Beauty and Truth math, and it is very much equivalent. All of the scope and sequence are talking about the same things. However, Beauty and Truth really was extremely thorough in the way that they taught each concept in a very gradual process that made you feel that there were no gaps in their learning, as well as there is tons of review. Each week you're continually reviewing on all the previous concepts. And it feels like you're working through it very slowly, but you are covering all the same topics within the grade levels so far. So there are no gaps, it's not behind, it's not too gentle. For those people that really want to try to find a really rigorous and advanced math for your student, Beauty and Truth math will still provide all of that, but just a different way of helping your child learn and understand math concepts. So it's hard to kind of explain how Beauty and Truth is so different from all other math curriculum. Well, really Charlotte Mason math. Simply Charlotte Mason also has something of a similar way, and really both, I think, I haven't tried it yet, but they both really approach math in the same way. So if you find a Charlotte Mason math, the intention is that the student is going to be, rather than teaching them all the math concepts, like presenting them, here is a fraction, you are going to guide them so that they can understand the concepts on their own. You're presenting them maybe, for example, an apple. I mean, there's more to the lesson than this, but here's an example. You would give your student an apple and say, cut this apple and share it with your 3 friends, so that they would have to be able to make 4 pieces. And through that lesson, they're going to understand that 1/4 of those pieces is a fraction of a whole apple. But it's through a conversational way that math is taught so that the students are reaching and understanding the math concepts on their own, in their own words, in their own terms, and then you are then presenting to them the actual traditional words used for those things, like fractions or greatest common denominator, or well, actually that's not the word, the common denominator. I'm thinking of greatest common factor. I'm getting those things because that's what we're talking about right now. But those terms we will then introduce to them, let them know, well, this is actually called this, and this is really the same thing as your idea, that the idea that they have come to, the way that they understand it, and you're introducing the context, the math concepts, and the actual terms that traditionally we know them as. And then they will then get to practice the math concepts through the Strayer-Upton books. I'll just post, I have them here actually as well. So this is book 1 and this is book 2. I don't have book 3 yet, but they follow these, and you do not learn the lessons through the textbooks. They use the textbooks for practice questions, and they're just really full of loads and loads of practice in all of the concepts that are being taught in the lesson. But everything you need for the resources, the material, the suggestions, the questions you might ask, the guided ways to help your child think through the math concepts are all in the downloadable and printable PDF files that you will purchase from Beauty and Truth. It's all there. They just use these textbooks because they don't write the math questions. They get them all from these books. And everything is there for you, and the lessons are very complete. They're also short. We can do a lesson in probably 10 to 15 minutes at the most. Sometimes we'll take a little bit longer. We also practice math facts, so we might go over the multiplication tables and practice reciting those and things like that. But everything is provided for you within the PDF file. They write out the entire lesson plan, and there's nothing left up to you to have to figure out for yourself. What I wanted to give to you today is an understanding of the scope and sequence for each grade and what that will look like, so that if you were thinking about starting Beauty and Truth Math, you might be able to see where you'll fit in, which level you might start your student at, or if you're beginning from grade 1, what that scope and sequence would look like. So they do begin their curriculum in grade 1, not kindergarten. And grade 1 is strictly an all-inclusive Beauty and Truth guide. They don't use a textbook yet. Everything is written out in the guide, and you need nothing else. They will tell you what types of materials and things, but they're all things you can find around the house to use as manipulatives and things like that. So in grade 1, they will learn numbers from 1 to 100. They will learn pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, and $1 bills. They will learn addition from 1 to 10, numbers 1 to 10. And they will also be introduced to shapes, ordinal numbers, and the calendar. In grade 2, that's when they will begin using Strayer-Upton Book 1. And the guide covers ideas such as addition, subtraction, money, multiplication, division, introduction of fractions, lengths and liquid measurements, short division, multiplication of large numbers, and that's it. In grade 3, they'll continue with the book 1, and that guide will cover place value, comparing numbers, multiplication and division tables 6 to 12. So that's what I missed out. So in grade 2, it's multiplication and division tables 0 to 5. And then in grade 3, it's 6 to 12. Weights and measures, averages, long division, multiplication of larger numbers, and introduction of fractions. In grade 4, they move up to Strayer-Upton Book 2, and this is what we are using right now. And the guide covers place value, fractions again, and they really go, I mean, we're in fractions right now, and they really go in depth, far more in depth than Singapore math, primary mathematics. I felt like we just covered fractions for a couple of weeks and moved on. This really goes in depth, and to help you understand how well she understands fractions. I mean, it's just beyond it. She's beyond me. She can understand, she can quickly add together fractions of different denominators in her mind, in mixed fractions, and just she's able to do it because she has such a firm understanding of a fraction. It's just an easy thing for her to do now. Fractions was why we switched, because it was just a struggle and I didn't know how to help her learn differently, to teach it in a different way. And this was just a breeze, and she now understands fractions like it's just so simple for her. It was amazing. So let's get back to grade 4. So place value, fractions, factors and multiples, weights and measures, perimeter, area, volume, and introducing decimal places. In grade 5, they are still using Strayer-Upton Book 2, and the lessons are scheduled now 4 days a week because they are then going to introduce something called practical geometry. So for 4 days a week, you're going to be covering beginning of algebra, fractions, decimals, and measurements. And then in geometry, it's called practical geometry. And in practical geometry year 1, they will be using a different book called Experimental and Practical Geometry by Hall and Stevens. And the lessons are once a week, and you will be covering ideas such as solids, surfaces and lines, measuring lines, circles, angles, and parallel lines. Now, angles was introduced into primary mathematics year 4, but it really makes sense to stretch out some of these concepts, because why pile them all in together and rush things, and the student isn't really getting a good grasp because you're moving on so quickly. So I really don't mind the fact that some of these things are being introduced the next year, because at the end of the day, everything that they need to know is going to be taught by the time they finish school, but by the time they graduate grade 12. And it's going to be done in such a way that good foundations are being laid and their understanding is just far more solid. And I really see this happening just by this past year of doing Beauty and Truth math. So in grade 6, they are using still Strayer-Upton Book 2. Lessons are now scheduled 3 days a week, because on the other 2 days they will be still doing practical geometry as well as elementary algebra. So in the Strayer-Upton, the properties of mathematics, they're going to be studying bar and line graphs, dividing decimals, percentages, interest and money computations, scale drawings, ratios, and estimating. And then in the practical geometry, they're going to be studying perpendicular lines, triangles, quadrilaterals, area, and solids. And then in the elementary algebra, there is no additional books being used. The lessons are going to be scheduled once a week, and the guide will cover these following ideas: variables, integers, powers, simplifying expressions, constructing formulas, solving simple equations, and the coordinate plane. And in grade 6, the guides are no longer going to be scripted between a teacher and a student. The grade 6 student is now going to start learning how to do work independently, which is a really important skill to learn. And then one last thing that they already have published, the first part A, is what they call consumer math. It's a new course, and the second half of it, part B, is coming out this summer. So by the fall, you will have part A and part B. It's really kind of like a statistics math. Lessons are scheduled once a week, so this should go alongside your other parts of math. And when Beauty and Truth do eventually get in the other arithmetic, algebra, and geometry for the other grades, actually arithmetic is done. You will then be moving grade 7 to 12. They will just be doing algebra, and the algebra stream covers pre-algebra, algebra, calculus, trigonometry, pre-calculus, all those things. I'm saying it in a weird order, but all of those things is what algebra is, and that is grade 7 and up. So arithmetic is done. Those are in the elementary grades, and of course also geometry and statistics. So the statistics portion they do have out, and they will keep releasing each level. So this would probably be grade 7 they have out, and grade 8 will be released this summer. So in their statistics for this past year that they have released, they cover ratios and proportions, percentages, large and small numbers, statistics, and probability. So those are what Beauty and Truth have at the moment, and they'll continue adding to it. And I can just say from experience, this has been an amazing program. My daughter has always been really good at math. Math comes very easily to her. But when you reach a point, all students struggle with certain things, and you get to a place where it's really difficult to figure out how, like, we are not math teachers. We didn't go, and most of us don't have degrees in math. And so understanding how to teach math can be a struggle for all of us homeschool moms. But they do it in a way that your student is the one struggling with the ideas and are coming to the conclusions on their own, which really strengthen their foundation and understanding in math. So I really love Beauty and Truth Math. If you're interested in checking it out, this is not, I'm not getting paid for this. I'm not sponsored by them. I don't have any affiliate links or anything like that for you. I just really love Beauty and Truth. I'm excited about it, and I want more people to look into it. But that's all I have for you today. I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.